So hi guys, and welcome back to another video, and today's video is the Game Week 12 watch list. So in this video I've got 4 players that I think are decent options for this game week and the next several game weeks after that. So some of them are expensive, some of them are super duper cheap, and some of them are in that middle price bracket of around 5 to 6 million. But anyway, enough of the waffling, let's go on with the video. So the first player on the list, and he's the most expensive one by a country mile, and he is called Son. So why should you choose Son, and why should you possibly bring him into your fantasy team? Well, where do we start? He comes in at 10.3 million. So around that price point, you've got Bruno Fernandes, who's a little bit more money. You've got Sterling, you've got Mahrez, you've got Foden, you've got Rashford. He probably looks the best bet. One, he's arguably the best player out of that bunch. He's guaranteed regular football. Like, for example, Fernandes is in and out of form. Rashford's in and out of the team. Sterling's place isn't guaranteed in the team, nor Mahrez, nor Foden. Whereas Son, you know he's going to play week in, week out. And he is an exceptional player, one of the best players in his position in world football. And yes, he only has 1 goal and 2 assists in his last 5 matches. So it's not amazing, but it's not awful. But you've got to remember is all of those matches bar 1 were under Nuno. And now they've got Conte, and you do expect improvement because Conte is a high-class manager and he's done great things with other teams such as Chelsea and Inter Milan. So you've got to expect improvement soon. And Son being one of the best players in that Tottenham team, you expect him to get on the score sheet at some point in his next several games, especially when you look at these fixtures. He plays Leeds, then Burnley, then Brentford, then Norwich. So right there, he's got 4 green fixtures, 4 brilliant fixtures for Tottenham to score goals into, and sort of fixtures where they're not too hard, where Conte can implement his new plans and obviously all of his new decisions. So yeah, Tottenham team can start playing well. Then they have 3 tough fixtures where they play Brighton, Liverpool and Leicester. So they are 3 quite tough matches. Although Leicester haven't been in the best of form this season, they are still a tough opponent to face. But don't get rid of him for that, because he could still tick over with a goal or 2 or a goal or an assist in those 3 games. Then he plays Palace, Southampton, Watford. So he's got 3 games after that which are green as well. So from game week 12 right now to game week 21, Son has an astonishing 7 green fixtures and only 2 greys and 1 red, which is brilliant. And I think you should bring him in. And also, the last thing before we move on to the next player is he's owned by 19.6%. So it's not loads, but at the same time it's not little. So I jump on him now because if he starts scoring, people are going to be on him like Sonic. They'd be like, oh, I want Son. And yes, you could look at Kane as your Tottenham pick. I wouldn't go with both because it's a lot of money to put into the Tottenham basket, considering we still haven't seen some of their seen that they're going to do well in the next several fixtures. But I would go with Son. He's going to get an extra point for the goals. He's cheaper and he's been in better form this season. So yeah, that's why I would pick Son out of those 2. And maybe you should look at bringing him in to your team. And I think he's not vital, but I think he's one of the best options, especially around that price point for the next several game weeks and so on. So the next player on the list is rather cheap. He comes in at 4.5 million. He's the second cheapest player on this list, not cheapest, but the second cheapest. And his name is Tyrick Mitchell. So why should you bring Tyrick Mitchell into your team? Well, the Crystal Palace defender is only owned by 1.1%. And yes, he's not going to score you 2 goals every match, but that is very low ownership. So if he does something well, does look pretty decent there. Also, like I've said, he only comes in at 4.5 million. So he's super cheap. So let's say he doesn't play 1 week or he has a bad fixture, you can put him on the bench. But I do expect him to play week in, week out, because the whole of this season he's played every match in that left-back position. And although Palace's fullbacks, well, Tyrick Mitchell doesn't seem to get forward too much, he does get forward on some occasions, and I don't know, he's not an attacking fullback, he's more of a defensive fullback, but he does offer that attacking threat, that's what I'm trying to say. And probably the main reason why you would bring in Tyrick Mitchell is because of his fixtures. So he plays Burnley next, then Villa, then Leeds. Then he's got a tough trip to Man United, well you would think, but you never know. And then he plays Everton, Southampton and Watford, and then Spurs and Palace. So he's got 1, 2, 3, 4 green fixtures from now to game week 20, 4 grey and 1 red. So you may say it's pretty even, but the grey and the red fixtures aren't exactly tough. Like Villa, we don't know the full extent of how well they're going to play yet under Gerrard. Leeds, they can be got at, and also, although they have looked decent in some parts of the season, they're not fully there and they don't have their fully fit team. Man United is a red fixture, but you never know what you're going to get with Man United. You've also got Everton in there, who have been shambolic recently, who's a grey fixture, and then you've got Tottenham, so we don't really know what with Tottenham. But in there they play Norwich, Southampton, Watford and Burnley. 4 fixtures there, which are relatively easy. And like I said, if Mitchell doesn't play or he plays someone like Man United, you're like, nah, too risky. Just bang him on the bench. Because he's cheap, you probably have someone else you can play instead of them. And let's say you put him on the bench and he does something, you will be annoyed, but it's not awful because he's owned by so little amount of the game, it's not really going to affect your rank. But yeah, that's the first Crystal Palace player that I've got in the watch list. And the next one is more of a favourable one that I think you really should look at bringing him in. I brought him in last week, he rewarded me with a goal, and that man is called Conor Gallagher. So Conor Gallagher only comes in at 5.8 million, which I think is absolutely staggering considering how much of a quality footballer this lad is. This season, he's got a number of double-digit hauls. He's already got 3 double-digit hauls this season. He's got 11 points last week, 13 points the previous week, and in game week 3, he got 15 points where he scored 2 goals against West Ham. So the guy's got about 4 goals this season, about 4 assists as well, just going off the top of my head, but I think I've seen he's got around that, which is brilliant for a Crystal Palace team who usually don't score too many goals, but to be fair to them, this year under Vieira, they've been playing a lot more of an attractive brand of football and a lot more of an interesting brand of football that people want to watch, as opposed to Roy Hodgson was just like, let's keep you in the league, which he did do a decent job at doing because Palace didn't get relegated, but obviously they want to play a more attractive brand of football, and they've got likes of Gallagher, Zaha, Edouard, all these players, Elise, etc., who are technically gifted players. And yeah, Conor Gallagher is one of the best players to bring into your team, especially at that price point. He's proven this season that he can score goals and assists. It's not like someone who you're waiting, is he going to get you any goals and assists? Oh, his fixtures look great. No, he's proven it against decent teams as well. He scored and got an assist against Man City. He scored 2 goals against West Ham. Like, this guy just doesn't turn up in the small games. He turns up in the big games too. And yeah, he's a brilliant player, and he's got a call up to England as well. And he's only in by 15.6% in the game. And you may think, well, that's quite a lot, but for the quality of the lad he is and at the price point, I think it is very, very low. So hop on him now, because you never know. In these next set of fixtures, Burnley, Villa, Leeds, you might get something. He may go and score a brace at Man United, you don't know. He may even go and get a goal and 4 assists or something at Old Trafford, you don't know. But he has the potential to get a brace this season because he already did it against West Ham, and he could even get one against Everton. He could get one against Southampton. He could get one against Watford, one of the easier teams, or he could even get one against Norwich because they're like the easiest team to beat in the league. And yeah, so from now to game week 20, like I said with Mitchell, a brilliant set of fixtures for Palace. Can they get points in them? Yes. I've watched Palace this season. They do score goals. They may leak a few, so Mitchell's probably not necessarily one of the better options on this list, but with those green fixtures, you're going to expect a few clean sheets. So yeah, I think you should look at bringing Conor Gallagher into your team. So now we move on to the final player on the list, and it is a very interesting one. You probably have never heard of this guy, and until a couple of weeks ago, I never did neither. And that man is called, I can't pronounce his name, Bamideli. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Put in the comments if I'm saying it right. But yeah, that's his name. He's a Norwich defender, and one of the main reasons why you should bring him into your team, I wouldn't say bring him in for the sake of it, but if you have a free transfer and you're not sure what to do, I recommend you bring him in, especially at his price point, because he cost 3.9 million. The lad is so cheap that if he doesn't play, it doesn't matter. You can throw him on your bench and bring in someone, obviously, who has a better fixture or who is playing. And like I said, if he's not playing, you can put him on his bench. But I do expect him to play. He's played 90 minutes in his last 2 matches, and then earlier on in the season he played some football. But then he missed a bunch of games. I don't know if that's due to an injury or if he didn't have his place in the team. But he scored a goal against Leeds, played pretty well. Then Norwich won last week against Brentford. So I think he's going to keep his place in the team for the next several game weeks. And although Norwich are one of the worst teams in the league, if they are going to pick up points somewhere, they're probably going to do it in the next several matches. Yes, they won against Brentford, but if they want to build on that and at least have an attempt at staying in the league, you've got to look at the next several fixtures. They play Southampton at home, Wolves at home, and Newcastle away. Those 3 fixtures there could be very deciding to how Norwich sort of like progress, because they've won 1 game. If they don't win any of those next 3 games, they may slump back into the bad patch of form. But if they get another win in the next 3 games, or another 2 wins, or even pick up some points with draws, etc., it could give them a boost in confidence going into their harder fixture run. So they have Southampton, then Wolves, then Newcastle. And Wolves aren't an easy team, but they are a green fixture on here for some reason. So yeah, you've got to promote that. And then they play Spurs away, which could be tough. And then obviously they've got Man United. Well, not obviously, but they've got Man United, Villa and West Ham. So there's 4 quite tough fixtures there. But then after that, well, they play Arsenal. But after that, they've got Palace, Everton, Watford, and Palace. Gosh, they play Palace in game week 20 and in game week 24. Whoa. But yeah, what I'm trying to say is Norwich's fixtures aren't beautiful green because they never are going to be. They're Norwich, but they're not all red because they have got their best fixtures there this season. The likes of where they play Newcastle, where they play Southampton, where they play Watford. These matches are where Norwich are going to have to pick up points. So you could bring in Bamideli into your team, and especially at his price point, like I said, you can bung him on the bench if need be. He scored a goal in his last 2 games. He's played very well, and Norwich won one of those matches too. So yeah, he looks like a decent option for your side. But one thing, don't go bringing him in if you have a free transfer. Try and prioritise maybe a Gallagher or Son. But if you have 2 free transfers and you're like, I've got Son, I've got Gallagher, what do I do with my free transfer? I don't want to roll it because there's no point. Maybe bringing this guy as like a rotating player, because if he gets regular game time throughout the season, he does look like a decent option for Norwich and for your FPL team too. So that's the end of the video right there. If you have enjoyed it, do hit the like button and the subscribe button. It is greatly appreciated on this channel. And also, if you have any questions, do put them in the comment section because I'll read through them, I'll answer them. They could be about FPL or they could be about general football, but I like answering your questions. And also, if this video, you really enjoyed it and you have liked and subscribed already, do share it with your mates and post it on your social media, whatever. If you want to watch FPL, go watch FPL Skills because that is greatly appreciated too. But anyway, enough of that waffling. That's the video done right there. Hopefully I can do a team selection video on Thursday where I'll discuss what I'm doing to my team. And based on this video, you may think it's pretty obvious, but I may throw a curveball in there. Who knows? But yeah, stay tuned guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.